Frank Miller sat in his cluttered basement surrounded by humming radio equipment. At 62, the retired Navy communications specialist had turned his Montana home into a personal deep space listening station. Most nights yielded nothing but cosmic static and the occasional satellite chatter. Tonight was different. The signal came through at 2:17 a.m. Frank almost missed it while dozing in his worn leather chair. A pattern repeated every 12 seconds. Mathematical, deliberate, and definitely not natural. Frank adjusted his equipment, cleaning up the signal. After 30 years intercepting Russian and Chinese transmissions, he knew artificial signals. This was something else entirely. By morning, Frank had isolated and recorded the transmission. He played it again, the strange sounds filling his basement. Not Morse code. Not any Earth language. The signal contained precise mathematical intervals that could only be deliberate. Frank rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his phone. "Samantha, it's Frank. I need you to hear something." Dr. Samantha Winters had been Frank's friend since his last posting at Pearl Harbor. Now a senior astrophysicist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, she was one of the few people who might believe him. "Frank, it's 5 in the morning," she mumbled. "I found something. Not like before. This is real." Silence on the line. 2 years ago, Frank had called about a possible signal that turned out to be interference from a Russian weather satellite. Samantha had helped identify it, then covered for him when others at NASA started asking questions. "Send it over," she finally said. "But Frank, if this is another satellite..." "It's not. The signal came from Proxima Centauri." Another long pause. "I'll call you back." 4 hours later, Frank's computer pinged with a video call request. Samantha's face appeared on screen, her curly gray hair wild and uncombed. Behind her stood a younger man in a NASA polo shirt. "Frank, this is Dr. Ray Garcia, our xenolinguistics consultant. I've shown him your recording." Ray nodded at the screen. "Mr. Miller, how certain are you about the origin point?" Frank pulled up his data on a second screen. "I've triple-checked. The signal originates from Proxima Centauri b. No doubt about it." "And you picked this up on home equipment?" Ray sounded skeptical. "Custom built over 15 years. Former Navy communications, remember?" Frank couldn't keep the defensiveness from his voice. "The array covers my entire property. Better than anything commercially available," Samantha cut in. "Frank's setup is impressive. I've seen it. But what matters is the signal itself." She looked at something off-screen. "Our team confirmed it's not from any known Earth source. The mathematical sequences suggest a base 12 counting system. Nothing like we use." "So you believe me?" Frank asked. "We're flying you out," Samantha said. "Tonight. A car will pick you up in 3 hours. Bring your original recordings and equipment, logs." 2 days later, Frank sat in a secure conference room at JPL in Pasadena. His signal recording played through high-end speakers as 12 scientists and 3 military officers listened. Captain Alan Rodriguez, Naval Intelligence, leaned forward with intense focus. "Play the decoded portion again," Rodriguez said when the recording ended. Samantha tapped her tablet, and a new sound filled the room. The original signal, but with the mathematical noise filtered out. What remained was a voice-like sound making repeating patterns. "Our best analysis suggests..." "This is language," Ray explained. "The first part contains mathematical constants, pi, the square root of 2 prime numbers, universal concepts any advanced civilization would recognize." "And the second part?" Rodriguez asked. "Coordinates, technical specifications, and this." Ray projected an image on the wall, a crude diagram showing a planet with a large object striking it. "It's a distress call," Frank said quietly. "They're asking for help." The room fell silent until Rodriguez spoke again. "How many people know about this?" "Just us," Samantha replied, "and 3 analysts with top-secret clearance." Rodriguez nodded. "Good. The president will be briefed tomorrow. Until then, this stays in this room." As the meeting broke up, Samantha pulled Frank aside. "There's something else." Our deep space monitoring picked up several large objects that changed course shortly after your reception of the signal. Change course, you mean? Something out there heard the same message you did, and they're heading toward Proxima Centauri. In the weeks that followed, Frank relocated to a secure facility near JPL. Each day brought new discoveries as the IBO team worked to decode more of the message. They learned the senders called themselves the Elysians, a peaceful species with colonies across several star systems. The government response moved with surprising speed. In secret facilities across the country, engineers worked to retrofit 3 experimental long-range spacecraft with weapon systems and life support for extended missions. Samantha found Frank on the observation deck one evening, staring at the stars. They picked Rodriguez to lead the mission, she said, joining him at the railing. Frank nodded. Good choice. He understands what we're facing. They want us to go too. You as communications, me for scientific analysis. Frank turned to look at her. Us. Samantha, I'm 62 years old, and the only person who recognized the signal for what it was. Nobody understands it like you do. She handed him a folder. Mission briefing. We launch in 3 months. Frank took the folder but continued looking at the night sky. Do you ever wonder why they reached us? Of all the planets that could have picked up their signal, why Earth? Wrong number? Samantha suggested with a small smile. Maybe, or maybe exactly the right number. Frank opened the folder. The way I see it, if those other objects are hostiles, the Elysians are about to need someone who knows how to fight. The next morning, Rogers convened the core team. Satellite images displayed on the main screen showed the mysterious objects, now clearly artificial in nature and the size of small asteroids. We've confirmed 6 vessels on intercept course with Proxima Centauri b, he explained. Their propulsion system is like nothing we've seen before. They'll reach the planet in approximately 5 months. Before we can get there, Frank noted. Yes, but not by much. If we launch within 12 weeks, we'll arrive only days after them. Dr. Diane Martinez, the mission's medical officer, raised her hand. And what exactly is our objective once we die? Arrive? Rodriguez looked around the room. First contact with 2 alien species, one of which may be hostile. We'll assess the situation at Proxima Centauri b and determine if the Elysians still need assistance. If those other ships are peaceful, we introduce ourselves. If not... He left the sentence unfinished, but everyone understood. Humanity's first venture to another star would not be the peaceful mission of discovery they had always imagined. They were answering a call for help, a wrong number that might change the course of human history. As Frank left the briefing room, he caught sight of a classified report on Rodriguez's tablet. Earth Defense Contingency Planning. The wrong SOS had reached them, and now humanity was preparing for war among the stars. 6 months passed in a blur of training and preparation. Frank Miller stood in the launch control room, watching through reinforced glass as the 3 ships waited on their platforms. The largest vessel, USS Horizon, would serve as their command center. 2 smaller ships, the Defender and Guardian, would provide support and extra firepower if needed. Final checks complete, said a voice over the intercom. All systems green. Next to Frank, Samantha adjusted her new uniform. Neither of them had expected to become astronauts in their 60s, but here they were. Their training had been brutal, compressed into months instead of years. Frank had lost 15 pounds and gained muscle he hadn't had in decades. Ready for this? Samantha asked. Frank nodded. Ready as I'll ever be. Captain Rodriguez joined them, his face serious. Launch in 30 minutes. Time to board. They walked together to the elevator that would take them to the boarding bridge. 27 people would make the journey, 9 crew members on each ship. Most were military, but the science team included civilians like Samantha. Frank held a unique position as both a communications specialist and the first human to detect the alien signal. The inside of the USS Horizon looked nothing like the sleek spaceships from movies. Every inch served a purpose. The walls were lined with equipment, storage compartments, and handholds. Frank made his way to the communication station, where he would spend most of his time during the 6-month journey to Proxima Centauri. All stations, report status, Rodriguez called from the captain's chair. One by one, the crew confirmed readiness. Dr. Diane Martinez at medical, Lieutenant Steve Parker at navigation, Sergeant Olivia Chen at weapons, Dr. Peter Johnson at xenolinguistics, each voice calm and professional despite the historic nature of their mission. Communications ready, Frank reported when his turn came. Rodriguez nodded. Then let's make history. The launch was smoother than Frank expected. The new fusion engines powered up with a deep hum that vibrated through the ship. Then they were rising, pushing through Earth's atmosphere before accelerating to speeds no human had ever traveled before. Frank watched on his monitor as Earth shrank to a blue marble, then to a bright star, and finally to just another point of light among many. The reality of their situation hit him. They were leaving everything behind, heading toward an alien world where unknown dangers waited. If anything went wrong, no help would come. The journey to Proxima Centauri took exactly as long as predicted, 182 days. For 6 months, the crew trained, studied the alien signal, and prepared for every possible scenario they could imagine. Frank spent hours each day listening to the Elysian message, working with Dr. Johnson to understand more of their language. "I think I've got it," Peter said one evening about a month before arrival. "The final part of the message. It's not just about the meteor strike." Frank looked up from his station. "What else?" "They mention quick death, or swift hunters, coming. The translation isn't perfect, but they were warning about something else. Something that might follow the distress call." Frank felt a chill. "You mean the ships we detected?" Peter nodded. "I think so, and I don't think they're friendly." They brought their findings to Rodriguez, who called a full crew meeting in the ship's common area. "Dr. Johnson believes the Elysians weren't just reporting a natural disaster," Rodriguez explained. "They were warning about a hostile species that might intercept their message." Sergeant Chen frowned. "So we're heading into a potential war zone?" "That's correct," Rodriguez replied. "The 6 vessels we detected are likely not rescuers. According to Dr. Johnson's translation, they may be scavengers or raiders of some kind." "Can we handle them in a fight?" Lieutenant Parker asked. Rodriguez's face remained neutral. "Our ships are armed with the best Earth has to offer, but we have no idea what we're up against. Our priority remains contact with the Elysians and offering assistance." As they approached the Proxima Centauri system, tension grew. Long-range scans showed the 6 alien ships had arrived 3 days earlier. Frank's station picked up scattered communications, not Elysian signals, but something new and harsh-sounding. "We're picking up massive energy readings from the planet's surface," Lieutenant Parker reported as they entered the star system, "and debris in orbit." "Battle damage?" Rodriguez asked. "Consistent with that, yes." Rodriguez turned to Frank. "Any response to our hails?" Frank shook his head. "Nothing from the Elysians. The other ships are communicating among themselves, but not responding to us." "Show me the planet," Rodriguez ordered. The main screen filled with an image of Proxima Centauri b. It looked like Earth, with blue oceans and green land masses, but enormous scars now marked its surface. Dark smoke clouds covered large areas. "Life signs?" Rodriguez asked. "Scattered," Samantha replied from the science station. "Much fewer than expected based on the original signal, and concentrating in the southern continent." Rodriguez made his decision. "We'll approach with shields up. Sergeant Chen, weapon systems on standby. Frank, keep trying to contact any survivors." As they moved closer, they spotted the alien vessels in orbit around the planet. They were massive, each nearly twice the size of the USS Horizon. Their design was strange, with jutting angles and spines that seemed to serve no purpose. "They've spotted us," Lieutenant Parker warned. 3 ships breaking orbit and heading our way." "Open a channel," Rodriguez ordered. "All languages, all frequencies." Frank complied, sending out the carefully crafted first contact message they had prepared. For a long minute, there was no response. Then a harsh sound came through the speakers, followed by words in a guttural language. "They're demanding we identify ourselves," Dr. Johnson translated. Before Rodriguez could respond, a new signal broke through, weaker but clearly using the mathematical patterns of the original Elysian message. "That's coming from the surface," Frank said excitedly. "It's them." The message was brief but clear even before translation. "Danger, flee, warning." "The alien ships are powering weapons," Sergeant Chen reported calmly. Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "Evasive maneuvers. Signal the Defender and Guardian to form up. We're not here for a fight, but we'll defend ourselves if necessary." The first energy blast from the lead alien ship missed them by meters, illuminating the bridge with harsh purple light. "Return fire," Rodriguez ordered. "Target their weapon systems only." Earth's first interstellar battle had begun. As Frank's worked desperately to strengthen the signal from the surface, he realized they had arrived just in time, not to prevent a disaster, but to keep it from becoming a total extinction. The wrong SOS had reached Earth, but perhaps that mistake would save whatever Elysians remained alive below. The battle lasted only 20 minutes, but to Frank it felt like hours. The USS Horizon shook with each impact as the alien weapons struck their shields. Captain Rodriguez commanded with calm precision, coordinating with the Defender and Guardian, to focus their attacks on a single enemy vessel. "Their shields are weakening," Sergeant Chen reported from the weapons station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, adjusting targeting parameters. "Port side vulnerable," Rodriguez nodded. "All ships concentrate fire on the lead vessel's port section." The combined firepower of the 3 Earth ships punched through the alien shields. The enemy ship listed to one side, leaking atmosphere and debris. "The other 2 are pulling back," Lieutenant Parker announced. "Do not pursue," Rodriguez ordered. "Maintain defensive position." Frank worked frantically at his communication station. "Captain, I've established a stable connection with the surface. They're transmitting in what seems to be their version of English. Very basic, but understandable." Rodriguez moved to Frank's station. "Put it through." A strange voice came through the speakers. The words were halting, with odd pauses and tones, but clearly understandable. "Humans. Danger above. Safe landing coordinates follow." "They know we're human," Samantha said with surprise. Dr. Johnson nodded. "They've been studying us, just as we've studied them. They must have learned our languages from our broadcasts." Rodriguez made his decision quickly. "Lieutenant Parker, take us down to these coordinates. Sergeant Chen, keep weapons ready. Dr. Martinez, prepare the medical team for possible casualties." He turned to Frank. "Tell them we're coming to help." The descent through the atmosphere was rough. The planet's weather systems had been disrupted by whatever disaster had struck. Storms raged across the northern continent, and the air was filled with ash and debris. They landed in a clearing surrounded by crystal-like structures, buildings that had once been perfectly formed geometric shapes, but now lay partially shattered. As the landing ramp lowered, Frank felt the gravity, slightly less than Earth's, and smelled the strange, sweet air of an alien world. Rodriguez led the way, with Sergeant Chen and a team of 4 Marines in front. Frank, Samantha, Dr. Martinez, and Dr. Johnson followed closely behind. All wore sidearms except for Martinez, who carried medical equipment instead. The aliens emerged from a damaged structure. Frank gasped despite himself. The Elysians stood about 5 feet tall, their bodies thin and delicate-looking. Their skin shimmered with a crystalline quality, reflecting light in rainbow patterns. They had 4 arms, each ending in 7 long fingers. Their faces featured large, multifaceted eyes that reminded Frank of insect eyes, but with a depth of expression that seemed unmistakably intelligent. One stepped forward. "I am Coordinator Elio. You are the humans who answered our call." Rodriguez stepped forward as well. "Captain Alan Rodriguez of Earth, we received your distress signal and came to offer assistance." Elio's head tilted in, a gesture that might have been surprise. "You received our signal directly. It was not meant for—" The alien paused. You were not in our communication network. How did you intercept it? Frank spoke up. Your signal reached Earth by accident. I detected it with my equipment. Elio turned those fascinating eyes toward Frank. A fortunate accident, then. The Vraxians arrived 3 days ago. They destroyed what remained after the meteor impact. Many were taken. Others killed. Vraxians? Rodriguez asked. The ones you fought in orbit. Scavengers, raiders, they followed disaster, taking what they can. They intercepted our signal as you did. Samantha stepped forward. How many of your people survived? 43 remain here, Elio replied. Perhaps 200 were taken by the Vraxians. They value our crystal tech and our people as resources. Dr. Martinez moved toward a group of injured Elysians. I'd like to help your wounded, if you'll allow it. Elio seemed confused. You can survive our atmosphere without protection? The toxin levels are toxic to you, perhaps, Dr. Martinez explained, but not to us. Our biology is different. This seemed to startle Elio and the other Elysians. They spoke quickly among themselves in their language. What's happening? Rodriguez asked Dr. Johnson quietly. I think we've surprised them, Johnson replied. From their reaction, they expected us to need environmental suits or other protection. Elio turned back to them. You are from a high-gravity world with atmospheric toxins and radiation? Rodriguez nodded. Earth is probably harsher than what you're used to. We call it home. The Elysians conferred again, this time with what seemed like excitement. You are Deathworlders, Elio finally said. We thought such beings were myths. Deathworlders, Frank asked. Species that evolve on worlds that would kill most galactic life. Worlds with high gravity, extreme temperatures, radiation, toxins, aggressive predators. Elio's crystalline body seemed to shimmer more intensely. Your bodies must be incredibly dense and strong compared to ours. As if to demonstrate, Elio picked up a small rock. With apparent effort, the alien lifted it, a stone that would weigh perhaps 2 pounds on Earth. Sergeant Chen stepped forward and picked up a boulder that must have weighed at least 50 pounds. She held it easily with one hand. The Elysians made a sound like wind chimes, their version of gasps. We heard legends, Elio said. Beings who could survive wounds that would kill others, who could endure environments that would destroy most life. But no confirmed contact had been made with such species. The alien seemed to stand taller. The Galactic Council quarantines death worlds to prevent contact. We didn't get the memo, Rodriguez said dryly. Elio led them to a damaged structure that had been converted into a command center. Inside, holographic displays showed the planet and surrounding space. The Vraxians took our people to their ships, Elio explained. They left with many captives and resources. They will drain our people of their crystal essence and use it to power their technology. Where did they go? Rodriguez asked. To the Luyten system. Another of our colonies exists there. They will raid it next. Rodriguez considered this information, and now they know about Earth. Elio's body dimmed slightly, perhaps their version of a nod. They sent a transmission to their main fleet. Your world's location was included. Frank watched as Rodriguez processed this. The captain's face remained calm, but his eyes hardened. Then we have no choice, Rodriguez said finally. We need to pursue them. Not just to help your people, but to protect our own. They will not expect pursuit, Elio said. And they certainly will not expect Deathworlders. Samantha stepped closer to the holographic display. Can some of your people guide us? We don't know this region of space. I will join you, Elio said. And our tactical coordinator, Lyra. We cannot fight, but we can guide you. As they prepared to return to the ships, Elio approached Frank. The signal specialist who heard our call when it was not meant for you. The alien's voice had a musical quality. Perhaps there are no accidents in the universe. Frank smiled. My grandmother used to say the same thing. Rodriguez gathered the team. We depart in 2 hours. Our mission has changed. We're no longer just making first contact. We're preventing a future attack on Earth and rescuing the Elysian captives if possible. As they boarded their ships with their new alien allies, Frank couldn't help thinking about Ilio's words. Deathworlders. They had spent their existence on Earth thinking they were normal. Now they learned that to the rest of the galaxy, they were the terrifying ones. The journey to the Luyten system took 12 days. During this time, the humans and Elysians learned about each other's worlds. Frank spent hours with Elio, exchanging stories and information. The more they talked, the more Frank understood just how different their species were. Your world has over 50 large predator species? Elio asked, his crystalline form shimmering with what Frank now recognized as shock. And humans evolved alongside them? Frank nodded. Lions, tigers, bears, wolves, sharks. That's just naming. A few. Our ancestors had to outwit them to survive. On our world, there are no large predators. The largest carnivore is the size of your hand and hunts small insects. Elio's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. No wonder your species developed such physical strength and endurance. In the ship's gym, Sergeant Chen demonstrated human physical capabilities to a group of fascinated Elysians. She lifted weights that would crush an Elysian's delicate form, ran on the treadmill at speeds that left the aliens bewildered, and performed combat exercises that seemed impossibly fast to them. Your warrior can continue activity without rest for hours? Lyra, the Elysian tactical coordinator, asked Dr. Martinez. Humans can push through fatigue for quite some time, Martinez explained. Our bodies produce chemicals that allow us to ignore pain and exhaustion when necessary. And your bones, so dense. Our scans show they would require significant force to break. Martinez smiled. Evolution on a high-gravity world with dangerous predators shaped us to be durable. As they approached the Luyten system, Captain Rodriguez called a meeting in the ship's conference room. The 3 ship captains joined via video link, along with key officers and the Elysian representatives. We've detected the Vraxian ships in orbit around Luyten B, Rodriguez reported. 6 vessels, same as before. They appear to be launching landing craft to the surface. The colony there is larger, Elio said. Over 1,000 of my people. Our plan is simple, Rodriguez continued. We'll approach from behind the system's larger gas giant, using it to mask our signature. The Guardian will remain hidden and jam their communications when we attack. The Horizon and Defender will engage the Vraxian ships directly. Lyra's crystalline form dimmed slightly. The Vraxians outnumber you. Their ships are larger. Size isn't everything, Rodriguez replied, and they don't know what humans are capable of. Frank noticed Samantha studying the tactical display with a frown. What is it? He asked quietly. Something's not right, she whispered. The Vraxian ships are positioned oddly, almost like they're expecting us, Frank finished. Samantha nodded and raised her voice. Captain, I believe the Vraxians might be setting a trap. Their formation suggests they're ready for an approach from the gas giant. Rodriguez studied the display. You may be right. Lieutenant Parker, recalculate approach vectors. We'll come in from the star side instead. Elio turned his multifaceted eyes toward Samantha. You noticed a trap that even our tactical coordinator missed. How? Pattern recognition, Samantha explained. Humans are good at spotting things that don't fit expected patterns. As they prepared for battle, Frank worked with Dr. Johnson on a special project. Using what they had learned about Vraxian communications, they created a virus that could potentially disrupt the enemy's systems. This might give us an edge, Frank told Rodriguez. If we can upload it to their network, it should create confusion in their command structure. Good work, Rodriguez said. We'll need every advantage. The battle began at what would have been dawn on Earth. The USS Horizon and Defender emerged from behind the system's star, shields at maximum, weapons charged. The Vraxian ships reacted quickly, but their formation was wrong. They had indeed been expecting an approach from the opposite direction. They're scrambling to reposition, Lieutenant Parker reported. We've caught them off guard. All weapons, fire at designated targets, Rodriguez ordered. Guardian, begin jamming their communications. The space around Leuten B lit up with weapons fire. Earth's ships were smaller but more maneuverable, dancing around the bulkier Vraxian vessels. The battle quickly turned chaotic as the Vraxians struggled to coordinate without communications. Their flagship is attempting to launch more landing craft, Sergeant Chen reported, targeting their launch bay. A perfect shot from Chen destroyed the Vraxian launch bay, triggering secondary explosions along the ship's hull. One of their ships is breaking off, Parker announced, heading for the planet's surface. Rodriguez made a quick decision. Defender, pursue and disable if possible. We need to protect the colony. Frank's console lit up with an alert. Captain, I'm detecting a transmission from the Vraxian flagship. They're calling for reinforcements. Upload the virus, Rodriguez ordered. Frank's fingers flew across his console. Virus uploading. They're trying to block it. Upload complete. On the main screen, they watched as the Vraxian ships began to move erratically. Some fired weapons at empty space. Others drifted out of formation. It's working, Frank said. Their command system is compromised. The battle turned decisively in the humans' favor. 2 Vraxian ships collided, unable to coordinate their movements. Another was disabled by concentrated fire from the horizon. The flagship, however, managed to break through and headed toward open space. They're trying to escape, Parker said. Let them go, Rodriguez replied. Our priority is the colony and any captives on the remaining ships. With the battle in space under control, Rodriguez prepared a landing party. Sergeant Chen would lead a team of Marines with Dr. Martinez joining to treat any injured Elysians. Elio insisted on coming along to help communicate with his people. I should go too, Frank said. I might be able to access their systems from the ground. Rodriguez considered, then nodded. Stay close to the Marines. The landing craft descended through Leuten B's atmosphere. Below, they could see the Elysian colony, crystal structures similar to those on Proxima Centauri b, but larger and more elaborate. Several were damaged from Vraxian attacks. They landed near the colony's center. As they exited the craft, they saw groups of Elysians hiding in damaged buildings. When they spotted Elio, several came forward cautiously. More Deathworlders, one of them said, looking at the humans with fascination. Friends, Elio explained. They fight the Vraxians. A tall Elysian stepped forward. Unlike the others, this one's crystalline body had a deep blue tint. I am High Counselor Vereen. Your arrival is unexpected but welcome. The counselor turned to face Rodriguez. The Vraxians have taken hundreds of our people to their ships. Can you help them? That's why we're here, Rodriguez replied. But we need to move quickly. The Vraxian flagship escaped and will bring reinforcements. Vereen's form darkened with concern. They sent a transmission before you arrived. I fear they have called their main fleet. How large is their main fleet? Sergeant Chen asked. Hundreds of ships, Vereen replied. A force that has never been defeated. Frank watched as Rodriguez absorbed this information. The captain's face remained calm, but Frank could see the concern in his eyes. Then we need to prepare, Rodriguez said, not just for the captives, but for what comes next. As they organized the rescue operation, Frank couldn't help thinking about Earth. The Vraxians now knew where it was, and soon their entire fleet would be coming. High Counselor Vereen approached Frank as he worked on accessing a damaged Vraxian terminal. Your captain speaks of defending your world, but perhaps there is another way. What do you mean? Frank asked. I have already sent a message to the Galactic Council, Vereen said. For the first time in 10,000 years, they will need to reconsider their policy on Deathworlders. 3 months later, Frank stood on the observation deck of the USS Horizon, watching as Earth grew larger in the view screen. After rescuing the Elysian captives from the remaining Vraxian ships at Leuten, they had made the journey home with urgent news. A Vraxian fleet was coming. Captain Rodriguez joined him, looking tired but determined. The Planetary Defense Council is waiting for our report, he said. How do you tell the world that alien invaders are on their way? The same way we've always faced danger, Frank replied. Together. The reception on Earth was like nothing Frank had imagined. Their ships were escorted by fighter jets as they descended to a landing facility in Nevada. Government officials from every major nation waited to greet them. News of the alien contact had been released gradually over the past months, preparing humanity for the reality of life beyond Earth. More surprising was humanity's reaction to the news of the coming threat. Instead of panic, there was resolve. Nations that had been enemies for generations now shared technology and resources. Every space-worthy vessel was being retrofitted with weapons. Old military satellites were reactivated and upgraded with new technology developed from studying the Vraxian ships they had captured. High Counselor Vereen and 5 other Elysians had come with them to Earth. They seemed constantly amazed by human resilience and adaptability. "Your people breathe this air willingly?" Vereen asked Frank as they stepped outside the facility. "The oxygen levels are intense." Frank smiled. "To us, it's perfect." Vereen's crystalline form shimmered. "The Council has responded to my message. They are sending representatives. This is unprecedented. Contact with a quarantined world." A week later, Frank sat in a secure conference room beneath the United Nations building in New York. Samantha sat beside him, with Captain Rodriguez and representatives from Earth's most powerful nations around the table. Across from them sat 3 alien beings unlike anything Frank had seen before. The Galactic Council representatives had arrived in a ship that seemed to bend light around it. One resembled a tall, willowy plant with leafy appendages. Another looked like a jellyfish, floating in a clear container of liquid. The third was insectoid, with compound eyes and clicking mandibles. All wore translation devices that converted their speech to English. "We have verified the Vraxian threat," the plant-like alien, who had introduced itself as Ambassador Thel, said. "Their main fleet has altered course for your solar system. Their intentions are clearly hostile." "How many ships?" asked the U.S. President. 217, replied the jellyfish-like being, Ambassador Morrow. "They will arrive in approximately 58 of your days." The room fell silent. Earth had managed to assemble a defensive fleet of 75 retrofitted vessels in the past 3 months, plus orbital platforms and ground-based weapons. But they were still outnumbered 3-1. "What help can the Council provide?" Rodriguez asked directly. The insectoid alien, Ambassador Crix, made a clicking sound. "The Council has a policy of non-interference with quarantined worlds. Your planet was designated Class 12 Death World, considered too dangerous for contact." "Yet here you are," Samantha pointed out. "An emergency exception," Ambassador Thel explained. "The Vraxian threat changes the calculation. If they obtain control of Earth and harness your species as weapons, the entire galaxy would be at risk." Frank leaned forward. "You're afraid of us?" The 3 ambassadors exchanged looks. "Yes," Ambassador Morrow admitted. "Your species evolved in conditions that would kill most sentient life. Your physical capabilities, aggressive instincts, and adaptability make you concerning, but also valuable as allies," Ambassador Crix added. "Which is why we propose a compromise. We will provide technical assistance and coordinate with other nearby systems to support your defense. In exchange, Earth will accept Council oversight of its future interstellar activities." The debate that followed was heated. Some human leaders bristled at the idea of alien oversight. Others argued that survival was the priority. Frank watched as Captain Rodriguez finally stood to address the room. "With respect to all parties," he said, "I've fought the Vraxians. I've seen what they do to conquered worlds. We need the Council's help. But the Council also needs us. The Vraxians fear humans more than any of your species. Perhaps we can use that." What followed was the most intensive planning session in human history. Frank worked with communication experts from a dozen nations, helping integrate Elysian crystal tech with Earth systems. Samantha led a team of scientists analyzing Vraxian weaknesses, and Captain Rodriguez oversaw the training of Earth's first unified space navy. The day the Vraxian fleet arrived dawned clear and cool. Frank stood in the unified command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, watching as the enemy ships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Saturn's orbit. They're here, he said quietly. Admiral Rodriguez, promoted for this mission, nodded. Begin Operation Thunderbolt. The first phase of Earth's defense plan unfolded perfectly. Mines hidden in Saturn's rings detonated as the Vraxian fleet passed through, destroying 14 ships. The distraction allowed 50 Earth vessels to emerge from hiding places around Jupiter, attacking from an unexpected vector. They're breaking into smaller groups, reported the tactical officer. Just as we predicted. Rodriguez nodded. Spring the trap. The second wave of Earth's defenders revealed themselves, ships hidden in the asteroid belt, armed with weapons based on Elysian crystal tech. They fired not at the Vraxian ships, but at strategic points in space around them, creating a web of gravitational distortions that trapped dozens of enemy vessels. Frank's communication team worked frantically, using the virus he had developed to disrupt Vraxian signals and feed false information to their commanders. On screens around the command center, he could see the confusion spreading through the enemy fleet as ships received contradictory orders. The battle raged for 6 hours. Earth suffered losses, 23 ships destroyed, thousands of brave men and women lost. But the Vraxian fleet was devastated. Their remaining ships retreated, jumping away to unknown destinations. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began to recover survivors, Frank found himself standing next to Vereen and the 3 council ambassadors. We underestimated you, Ambassador Thel admitted. Not just your physical capabilities, but your tactical thinking. No species has ever defeated a Vraxian fleet of this size. We've had plenty of practice fighting each other, Frank said grimly. Now we've found a better use for those skills. 6 months later, Frank stood in the United Nations General Assembly Hall as humanity officially joined the Galactic Council. The quarantine of Earth was lifted, replaced with a unique designation, protected ally with special military status. As Frank watched the Elysian and human representatives sign the treaty, Samantha joined him in the gallery. Did you ever think answering that wrong number would lead to all this? She asked. Frank smiled. Sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right one to call. Outside the UN building, the first joint human-Elysian defense fleet was preparing for launch. Their mission, to hunt down the remaining Vraxian forces and secure nearby star systems. And at their center was the flagship USS Horizon, now commanded by Admiral Rodriguez, with a crew of both humans and aliens. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same.